Good morning, Eva. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
I am so happy to be here with you. For people watching, there's a good chance you know Eva Silva and you've seen her beautiful posts and artwork all over the internet. Your watercolors caught my eye many months ago, and you're just sorry, I don't want to make you blush. Maybe it's okay. Just so phenomenally talented. You have been given so many gifts, and you're so creative and super inspiring, and just
Thank
so
you.
filled with love. So, thank you so much for taking the time today. I just arrived in British Columbia last night, and I have a vacation ahead of me, and I have some time to do a few interviews. And you were the first person that came to mind because you are from
British Columbia.
Colombia. Yeah. So, and Eva currently lives in Brazil, in Sao
Mhm.
Paulo. And so we're going to listen to her testimony today. I don't know if you want to start a little bit with all of that said. We'll go back to British Columbia, but
Sure.
right now, if you can just kind of tell us how long you've been in Brazil and kind of what you're up to there.
All right. So, can't hear that. Do you hear that? Oh, good. A motorcycle. So sometimes if I stop talking, it's because I can't even hear myself. It's so
Yeah,
loud.
so I imagine I was telling you not that long ago that Brazil and Chile are the only two places in South America I've not been. Brazil is very different and Chile is very different. That anyway, all South American countries have their own flavor, but motorcycles are all
Yeah,
over.
motorcycles. So I think it was in 2021 in July actually. So it's been 4 years that I left Canada. So 4 years of never being back to Canada. I'm missing it a lot. But so total I've been in Brazil is almost 5 years, and I still can't speak Portuguese. It's a really tough language to learn. But I love it here. It's like the people are very warm, very welcoming. They treat foreigners really well too. So yeah, it's pretty nice.
And how is the food? Do
The
you eat
food is
well?
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's amazing. It's way better than Canada. They take pride in their cooking. Their restaurants are just incredible. Their sushi is amazing. So yeah,
Awesome. And I assume so your husband is Portuguese.
he's Brazilian. Yes, yes.
Sorry. Sorry, that glitched for a second. Yes, they speak Portuguese in Brazil. I
Yeah,
knew.
they speak Portuguese.
Great. So he was born and raised there, and then you guys
Yeah.
met presumably somewhere, and he whisked you away to his beautiful, warm country.
Sorry, I think I missed what you said. What did you say?
I just say you met somewhere, and he whisked you away to his beautiful
Yes, yes,
country, and you've been there for almost
that's
five
right.
years. That's great. Very good. So, what does the day-to-day look like for you? I only know you from making art. I'm like, what a life. She just sits there and paints pictures all day and
Pretty
writes.
much. Yeah, pretty much. No, I have a subscription plan for Torah activities for kids. So like lately, that's pretty much what I've been working on all day. I'll just sit there writing and doing art for the thing, and yeah, and then on top of that, portraits and stuff like that. But pretty much that's just sitting here working every
Beautiful.
day.
Like, and you have a couple of books as well, right? You
Mm.
have I'm sorry I didn't prepare. I've seen them. They're just always kind of in my line of vision, but you have something uh about Torah. You have two, one about could you
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
I have a calendar and I have a book that goes with the calendar, just kind of explaining briefly things. And then my recent published book was the children's book. It's like a really thick one with 66 illustrations. And then I published another smaller children's book that's just black and white drawings. But and then let's see. Oh yeah, and then I have the commands of Elohim and the commands of Yeshua, or Yeah, they're
Oh,
smaller
that's
books, but
those are the ones that I
yeah,
had on my mind that
those are the ones that are really selling right now, and I'm not making any money on them, but, like, there's tons of people are buying them, so it's really
yeah, they pop up
encouraging.
everywhere. Everyone's recommending them. I'm gonna go and check them out, and you seem to me so prolific. It's like I don't understand how you put out it's maybe I'm off, but it seems like you just pump out
I have
all
a
of
lot
this,
of
like
energy. I just I can't stop my brain. It just keeps going.
that watercolors a whole I've painted acrylic and whatever, but watercolors like this mysterious and anyway, I'm gonna post whatever I can for the people who don't know you or your work, but I'm always every single time something comes across my line of vision, my jaw drops and I'm like, I
Aw,
always say I'm not easily impressed, like, it's incredible stuff, so you have
thank
absolutely
you.
given a gift and you're using it for the kingdom, like,
Yeah,
it's nice.
that's what's really nice to be able to do that.
We all love our pets, and I probably will I saw the little images you're doing of the
Oh, the boopables.
yeah, they're so cute. I have 2 kitty cats, so I'll probably prompt you to do that, but and that's lovely, but on top of it, you're making all of this literature for people who are trying to learn about Torah, so
Yeah,
thank you so much for everything that you do. So, yeah, what led you there? So now you're making all this artwork for the kingdom. Do you wanna
yeah.
rewind back to how
Start all the way from the beginning? Yeah,
yeah.
so I if I'm looking down, I'm not very, organized, I'm a very scattered person, so I put my notes down, and I'm going to try to stay in order.
I think it's normal for an artist though, right? Like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
filled with energy, you have loads of you probably wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning doodling. I just finally received my Set Apart magazine, the very first issue, because it went to my husband's house in the States anyway. I just got it, and the first page that I opened up to was your beautiful ring sketch. So
Aw,
I know that you're woken by the Holy Spirit probably all hours of night, and you just go.
yeah, yeah, I can't stop it, it just pours out. Alright, so, yeah, I guess the goal of I've wanted to share my testimony, it's not like a incredible testimony, but, like, I feel like it could speak to a lot of people who are, um in religious abuse or control, like isolation, and are experiencing guilt and stuff. So my start with my dad. My dad, when he was, let's see, how old was he? I think he was like 21. Yeah, he volunteered. He's Canadian, and he volunteered in the U.S. Marines and went to Vietnam. And yeah, while he was fighting there, he stepped on a landmine, and it blew up his foot, and he had to be taken out. And they later, like, it got infected, and they had to amputate the lower part of his leg. So from a very young age, I just remember dad kind of being my hero. He's like a soldier, very tough guy. Like but he was so kind. He was very sweet, gentle sort of guy, and very quiet. Um, but yeah, like he was probably very like a very strong um, part of my life. Like he was very convicted of like his beliefs, and would teach us the Bible every day. Like he very solid, very like he had like a Bible plan that we would read through the Bible in a year. Like, and he started having. I think I was supposed to read that at like 12. So from then on, I was reading the Bible every year, like so many times. It was almost I almost got sick of it, kind of thing. But I mean, it meant we were like really, really familiar with Scripture. Um, yeah. So I think early on, my I can't remember what denomination my parents were from. I think maybe Baptist kind of style. They started kind of jumping around from church to church, trying to find more conservative churches, and I think eventually they just kind of started to pull away from Christianity, like any of the churches, because they had some very I'd say they're more extreme beliefs, and they wanted kind of like a perfect church and couldn't find one. So yeah, they started to pull out of that. And I think in that time, I don't like this is kind of, I'm the second youngest of 9 kids. So a lot of the history of my family, I'm just piecing together from what they told me. And um, so about probably before I was born, I'm not sure. I think they got into Bill Gothard. Um, I don't know how familiar you are with. Okay, you know the Duggars, um, big big family. So the
Mormon
Duggars, they
Mormonism.
no, they
Okay.
follow. It's like it's a cult, but like they have it's a very Bill Gothard. He has this like um what's it called? Basic institution principles for no Institute of Basic Principles for Life. So it's like he has these 7 principles that he says everybody must live by these principles, and they're supposedly based off the Bible. And when you read the principles, you're like, oh yeah, that's solid, right? But when you get into them, then it goes really crazy. Like
Okay, so it
it's a
probably had, I don't know where you're going with this. It probably had some of those conservative things that were appealing, and then the community aspect as well.
I'm sorry, I think I can't hear your voice.
Um, how about now?
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
I don't know where you're going with this, but I'm hearing that it had some kind of I don't remember what I just said, the conservative values
Conservative.
place that would have been
Yeah,
very, very
attractive.
attractive. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to get sucked in because I think that he started it up around the 1980s, I think, and a lot of people are trying to get away from feminism and the stuff, so they go to the other extreme, right? They want to go back to patriarchal like things, and so it's very easy for these cults if they come across very traditional, and people who are escaping the feminist mindsets and stuff, they will be very gravitated towards these things. So there's like a lot of good stuff in them that they teach, and then that pulls people in, and then they get like really into legalism and stuff. So um my family was all into the Bill Gothard thing, and with the Bill Gothards, they believe that women are supposed to have an open womb. They should have as many children as possible, even if it's detrimental to their health and stuff. So like mom did that, where I think I'm not sure, she had probably at least 6 miscarriages, and she had scoliosis, and it was just really tough on her. And I think a lot of people don't really recognize, like they go off the verse to be fruitful and multiply and stuff, but it's kind of like taken to an extreme where they don't even really care about the woman's mental health or physical well-being. So um I don't regret being born, but I do feel it was like some of these things, like uh, cats don't standing on my drawings. Sorry. So like I just feel like with my mom, she took on far more than she needed to, and like people say I sound awful for saying that, because then if maybe I didn't want to be born or something, but if she hadn't born me, I would just would have been born with someone else. So I don't. It's not like that. But I think, yeah, this Bill Gothard thing really took hold in her, and um, she when there was like a whole bunch of scandals that came out with Bill Gothard just doing inappropriate things, and the like dad and hers, they both rejected the like they I think they threw out his material and stuff like that, but the principles still stayed with them, like the children. And then have you heard of the umbrella um ideology, the umbrella that's from Bill Gothard?
Okay, but maybe not the same one, because what I have in my mind is not offensive at all. It's very simple of church,
Mhm.
husband, wife, family.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's from Bill Gothard.
Okay.
So Bill Gothard's teaching is that, yeah, like you said, the church, the husband, the wife, and then the children underneath. And the idea is if the wife or any of those people, like if the husband steps out from under the authority of the church, then he's stepping out of um the protection of the church, and he's opening himself up to Satan, to curses, to evil, and it's used to create a lot of fear and control. Same with the wife. Even if she has an abusive husband, if she ever steps out of from under his protection, she's going to be in trouble. And the same with the children. Children have to, even like adult daughters and stuff, they're stuck under the authority of their fathers. And it sounds good on the surface, but when you go into that and you see how much control and fear there is, it is extreme, very extreme. So there's not like a there's not like an even equality of respect towards each person. They're very very much so that the wives very much into extreme submission. Like, I'm not sure if it was Bill Gothard's, but I remember this in growing up where I would hear teachings about the sisters and mothers not being able to teach the sons after a certain age, things like that, because you're not supposed to teach men. And yeah, so
I've never heard to that extreme of a mother not being able to teach her son.
yeah.
Wow.
And
I
then on top of that, like I have a Mennonite background, so like my family wasn't Mennonite, but we came from that very clannish sort of thing, like more very conservative, but where the only families we really knew, for me growing up, it was Mennonite kind of style. Um, so head coverings and floor length dresses and stuff. Like my mom didn't make us do that, but we knew a lot of people who did that. So that was kind of what I was familiar with. Any by the time I was old enough to by the time I was like 10 or something, they were out of the church. Like I never went to church. So we didn't have any friends growing up except for a couple of these Mennonite like families, and we hardly ever saw them. So there was like tons of isolation. And I think that was kind of like a form of control. So, let's see, just looking at my notes, sorry. Yeah, so if I if you wanted to leave that kind of like in my family, if anyone wanted to leave, that was seen as rebellion. So I remember one time, like for daughters definitely rebellion, but even if my brothers kind of left at points, and it was kind of seen as rebellious too. So it was very, very, very controlled, very isolated. And I think the my family was in the beginning, they wanted to fellowship with other Christians, but they kind of started to lock themselves away more and more because they couldn't find Christians who had the same values, and they were kind of, yeah, just isolated. Um, so okay, so the thing I remember most growing up is just the extreme pressure to honor our father and mother in a way that I felt if I disappointed them, that I was going to go to hell. Like even just disagreed with them on minor things, I just felt absolute, devastation. Like it was like a lot of um, fear and uh, just not wanting to upset them at all. And um, yeah, so I kind of was like mom was like God to me. If I made her unhappy, then I was judged, kind of thing. So, um, and that's on me too. Like I think like parents can idolize their kids and really be attached to them, but I was also really attached to my mom. I had to recognize that, like I made an idol out of her. I It's not just on her side; it was my side too. So I felt constantly like I was not living up to that command, even though I don't think I was a very rebellious kid. I just was constantly feeling inadequate in that area. So I kind of got very confused in my teens. I was like feeling really lonely, extremely lonely, and like I had my siblings, but that was about it. And so I got really depressed and confused, and had eating disorders growing up, and uh, just was wondering why, like, what's the purpose to life? Like, I was just at home every day, like I would do my art because I had nothing else to do. And it just felt so useless. I felt so meaningless in my life, and I didn't see my future. Like, what's my future? How am I going to get married? Because we never meet anyone, right? And um, yeah, so I was just like my oldest brothers. They didn't. None of my family's married actually. So I just was like, is this what it is? All of us living at home for the rest of our lives, because none of them had left home at that point. So, um, yeah, I thought about running away all the time. It was just something that was constantly on my mind. I didn't know where I'd go or what I'd do though, so it was like something that would never happen kind of thing, but I thought about it. Um, and then let's see, by the time I was 16, I just was getting desperate. Like I wanted change, I wanted something different, and I asked my mom if I could go work with my brothers. They worked on a construction site, and that was building log homes. And she was probably desperate at the time too, because I was really hard to. I had way too much energy. I was just really hard to keep tabs on. So she reluctantly agreed to let me work there with them, and that kind of like opened my mind. Like I had never really stepped out in that kind of way. So I was still under the supervision of my brothers, but I felt like freedom because I was not in the house all day being watched. And I just was like totally became a different person and was just blown away by this new freedom kind of thing. So yeah, then I started um, noticing with my siblings that there was kind of like this, since when you're the youngest you can kind of watch your older siblings go through their stages. So I noticed with my older siblings that they would go through a stage of like this rebellion where they would want to get out of the house, and they would rebel against mom and dad's training and everything, and then they would kind of just slump and submit and give up kind of thing, and then they would be perfect, like kind of thing there. They yeah, didn't question mom and dad and that sort of thing. So I was noticing that, and I knew I was seen as the rebellious kid. And very like I felt rebellious too. Like everything I was doing, I felt like it was rebellion. It wasn't really. It was just wanting to understand things and wanting to learn. Um, so I was in that stage of rebellion until I was 18, and I had another job with another one of my brothers, and they had internet at that job, which was something my mom didn't let us have. So I started scoping out and looking around, and I started thinking about what if I'm making money right now. What if I moved out and had my own apartment, and started thinking about these things. And I had no idea that I think I knew that it was a crazy thing to do, but I don't think I knew how bad the reaction would be. So after thinking about it for a while, I just decided I would do it. And I went and told my mom, and she was like pretty horrified and said there was something wrong with me, that I would want to leave the house. And um, yeah, that was a really, really hard time. But when I did that, the whole family ostracized me, shunned me, kind of for like I had rebelled and was betraying them. So I was like just devastated because their approval meant everything to me. And
How old were you? Sorry, I missed how
I
old you
think I
were.
was 18 around
Okay.
the time. Yeah, and I think that's adult age in BC. So I was just devastated by that because they totally rejected me. And um, I got really sick, stressed out, really sick, and then I couldn't keep the job, so I had to quit the job. And then I just felt like, you know what, I am rebellious. I am, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I wanting to leave this good home where they treat me well, and stuff. I get food and clothing and stuff. So went through the submission stage where I just finally gave up, and I was like, I was wrong to leave. So I like individually apologized to every single one of them, and they, kind of reluctantly forgave me. And yeah, so I just thought, God doesn't want me to leave. He's been teaching me through this, that this is where I'm supposed to stay. And I was really convinced of that. Like, that was what God was showing me. But about the next year, I started getting the verses of um, giving up things. And like, this question kept coming into my head. It's like, from God, like, could you give up everything for me? Like, and that was like a sickening question to me because I was hanging on so hard to my family. And I kind of kept pushing it aside, but these verses, they just kept coming. And the verse, like, whoever loves father and mother more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever gives up, his land, his family for me, um, those verses, they kept coming at me. And then I was just reading this verse the other day about whoever doesn't hate his father and mother. And I was looking at the verse, or the word for hate is misio in Greek, and it means to detest, persecute, to love less, abhor. Just, like, sounds like a horrible word, right? But I was thinking the other day, when we follow God and have to turn our backs on people who love us and who we love, they will accuse us of persecuting them, of hating them, of doing all these things. And that was what I feared. Like, I feared them saying I was hating them, because I didn't hate them, right? Like, saying, and like, mom would make out that I was persecuting her, disrespecting her, dishonoring her. Those are things I feared. So that verse is, what it means is that we have to be ready to take those accusations, right? To hate people in appearance, to do what God wants us to do. So I was convicted so deeply that I just had idolized and put my parents way above God, and that it wasn't God telling me to stay there. And he was telling me to get out. And I was terrified by then because I had no job. And I was like, yeah, so I was fighting to stay, which was odd because my whole teenage years I was wanting to run away, right? So I kept fighting to stay, and I kept avoiding this. And then I was almost like there was a hand on my shoulder just pushing me. I couldn't resist it. And I heard one day, like, wasn't my own voice. It wasn't my thoughts. It was like, if you do not leave now, you never will. And then after that, I heard, when you jump, I'm going to be there to catch you. And I was like, okay, I gotta do this because this is not from me. I'm not making this up. So after the experience about the where I was shunned when I told them I wanted to leave, I just could not go through that again. So I decided, okay, I can't tell them. I can't. I don't think I can tell them, because if they do, they're gonna convince me to stay. Um, so I packed everything. Like, my brother had um, sold me his car. It was like a tin can on wheels. And I had strict rules. It was only to get to work and back. I wasn't supposed to go anywhere with it, kind of thing. It was not travel worthy. Mom was terrified of me taking it anywhere further than town, kind of thing. So I had that. So I packed everything into the car, and then at 1 a.m. I just left. I didn't tell them or anything. And yeah, that was pretty devastating to them. But like, I had to do it, and I left and I went to a motel, and I just was sitting in the motel, and I prayed like all night. Like, where do you want me to go? Because I knew no one. I had an aunt down at the coast, but I had totally forgotten about her because we were so isolated. It was like, um, didn't even think of that as an option. So I was just like, I don't know where to go, God. But you told me you're gonna catch me when I jump. And so I just prayed and prayed, and I saw a church in Squamish. I don't know if you've been to Squamish. Yeah, it's beautiful, right? So I saw this little church in Squamish, and I was like, "Oh, it sounds like they're a nice church. I'll go see if they'll tell me what I can do." So I drove 6 hours to Squamish, and I showed up just at the church and said, "This is what happened. I left home," and they were so kind. They took me in, like the pastor and his wife. They took me into their home, and it was truly from God, because like I was vulnerable. Like, I was like a 12-year-old in a 19-year-old body, right? And I could have met the wrong people or been taken to the wrong place, but they looked after me like they were, like, treated me like family. It was the best, the best kind of people too, because they were very they were conservative, but they could help me with, because I was going through a lot of trauma with the breaking free of that. So they really helped me with just giving me solid advice and helping me through that stage, because my family was so mad at me after leaving, and I was devastated. But so after that happened, um, it took me, like, I had a tie to my family, and I had to be broken, but those things don't just break immediately. So um, I was still very attached to them and trying to please them from a distance, doing everything I could. They said I was backsliding and going off the path because I went to a church that wasn't perfect, kind of thing. So things like that, where I was trying to please them, but they would keep messaging me saying, you're doing the wrong thing, you're going off the path, you're straying, stuff like that, even though I wasn't doing anything wrong, right? Um, so I actually went back home to stay with them a couple times. Like, I would go back and try to reconcile. I really, really wanted their approval still. And um, I don't remember how many times I went back, where I would go back and then have to leave because I had become like a different person and just was not fitting in with them. And then I would go back and then I would leave. And then eventually I just realized, it's not working. I can't please them. So I eventually just completely left. And I think from the first time I left, it was 5 years of what I call technically homeless, where I was just going from house to house. I slept on floors, on couches, on basements, in sheds and campers and cabins, and eventually I started living in my car. But through all of that time, I could have gotten into so much trouble just because I was so naive, and God just took care of me the whole time. He put the right people in my life. It was just incredible. I can't, like every time I think back, I get chills, because the crazy things that I could have gotten into, but it just, like he protected me completely. Um, so he kept his promise, right? Um, and then let's see. Yeah, my craziest stay was when a woman I was doing like this workaway. Have you heard of workaway? Where people will stay with someone in exchange for like
Yeah, it's
work.
I traveled quite a bit in South America doing exactly that. Yeah.
Oh, great. That's nice. And so I did that in Canada just as a desperate place. I needed somewhere to stay. And this woman, she was like, she put me in charge of her whole farm. She said I was the supervisor. But then all the other workaway volunteers, they were mostly men. And she decided, oh, everyone can sleep in the same room. And some of these guys are from Mexico. They're on drugs. They're smoking, and I was just like, ah, because grown up, you don't sleep in another room that a man's in. So I was like, I'm going to sleep in the shed. So it was like -15, I think, for 1 week at a point, and I was sleeping in the shed. There's no heat in it, and I learned that if you wear three pairs of socks and wool socks, and you have like 8 blankets, you can actually stay warm. And it was quite the experience because I didn't know you could survive those kind of things, but it wasn't that bad. Like I stayed warm, and like I had mice running all over my pillow, and it was crazy. But um, all through that, I was fed, I was clothed, I was taken care of by God. So yeah, it was a crazy experience. It was a good experience. Um, yeah. So um, when I started thinking about the Sabbath was before I left home, and I just was more thinking about it. I was like, why do we have Sabbath on Sunday? And I wrote a lot back then too. So I was actually writing these like articles to myself about, oh, Sabbath is on Sunday because Jesus rose on the on Sunday and kind of thing. So I was doing that, and then I just kept digging. And since we didn't have internet, or like mom would let us sometimes go on our computer, but very rarely. So I wasn't able to really get exposure to the whole Sabbath thing. I knew about Seventh Day Adventists, but I wasn't interested in that. So I just started reading every single verse I could find in the Bible that had Sabbath in it, and it was just shocking to me. Like I was like, why are we believing this thing? And I never really talked about it to my family because they didn't believe in Sabbath or anything, just Sunday Sabbath. And yeah, so I started writing down my thoughts on Sabbath actually being on the seventh day. And whenever mom let me online, I would sneak over to like places where I could read about Seventh Day Sabbath, like where I know what do you call it? The Adventists, they have a whole list of, how the Catholic Church changed it. So I read all those things when I got a chance. And I just had that and the Bible. And I believed, okay, it's time to start keeping the Sabbath. So that was, I think, after I left home. I committed to keeping the Sabbath because I was kind of nervous about my family. I didn't want to share my things, and when I did share, mom kind of panicked and was like, "You're going into a cult kind of thing," and so those are cult beliefs, and yeah. So after I left home, I started keeping the Sabbath. That was 2017, and um, I didn't think the feasts were that important for quite a long time. I'm ashamed how long it took me. Like I remember visiting my aunt later, and she was interested in these things, like randomly, not had nothing to do with me. And she was going to some feasts with some friends, and I went, and just for fun, I went, but it never really meant anything to me. I was like, those are just Jewish stuff.
But it's
Um,
normal, like, it was long enough ago, like, now there's, like, an explosion. If we clue into something, we can find the information like that. I
yeah,
did an interview with do you know, Melissa Smith, by any chance? Melissa Schilling Smith?
yes,
She comes
yes,
up a lot, and, like, she's been on this path for 25 years, like,
yeah,
there was no internet to even look at back then, so you guys who've been there like, I'm new here. Anything I wanna know, I can access like that immediately. I
yeah,
know all the ministries, but you had to piece things together, but you couldn't have,
exactly.
you couldn't have
And
known
I
how
think
important
that
the
was
feasts were.
special because, oh, sorry,
It's okay.
the volume is so low. I didn't know you were talking still. Um, I think that was kind of special because like God was protecting me in a way too because I was very vulnerable at the time and I could have um, got caught up. There's so many wrong paths that you can go on. So I feel kind of like that was his protection. Even after I left home, I didn't even. I only started following people like Melissa and other. I think in 2023. So like this whole time since 2017, I was just kind of trying to understand it on my own, reading pretty much the Bible. I watched a couple YouTube videos, but most of it was just what I got from the Bible, which I feel very thankful for, like protected. So yeah, with that's where I first got introduced to it with my aunt, which was I think in 2019 around then. And then I think your speaker is muted. Just or sorry, you know it is. Okay, good. Um, the when I was in Brazil, let's see, 2022. Yeah, when I was in Brazil, I was just kind of feeling lost and not really having much purpose. I was doing art. I had my art business and stuff by then, but I just
How did you get there though? I missed the when how did you arrive in Brazil?
oh, after I met my husband and
In
I'm skipping
BC.
ahead. You want me
Okay.
to talk about my husband?
No, I didn't connect the 2 dots of when, but no, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, so
You met him
after
in BC and then you ended
sorry,
up
you're
in
right.
Brazil.
I
Okay.
skipped. Okay, so 2017 is when I left home in 2017. I how long did I can't remember how long since I met my husband. Anyway, while I was homeless for these 5 years, I met my husband in that time. He came to we like met online. Then he came and met me in Vancouver, and then 4 years later we got married in Brazil. So that was kind of like yeah, so 5 years. Yeah, so once I was in Brazil, married, it was 2022, and that was when I was feeling kind of just purposeless. I had my art business and stuff, but I just didn't feel like I was serving or being much good to anyone. So I was just sitting at my window and I was just praying, like, give me a purpose, God. I don't know what I'm here for. And I don't feel passion in my life. I don't feel very inspired to do anything, right? Like I have always had a huge drive, like a very I'd say even when I was depressed and going through that time of feeling lost back at home, my faith was very strong where I felt there must be more. There must be a purpose. There must be something that I'm supposed to be doing. Um, so I was going through that feeling again of I'm not doing enough right now. And I just prayed that. And then the next day, I totally forgotten about the prayer, but I was remembering my aunt, and I was like, "Oh, she was interested in keeping feasts." And I thought about a while ago making a calendar for her because the calendar we're following doesn't have those feasts on them. I don't even know why I was thinking about the feasts because I was like getting more. I think I was thinking, "Oh, that they're interesting." I was starting to think that they're interesting at the time. I was recognizing when they were happening, but I wasn't like keeping them. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to make a calendar for her and for whoever um, that doesn't follow the Gregorian calendar. And then I started reading, like I was just reading the Bible. I wasn't at this point, like, I didn't even know that there was such a huge Torah community at that point. Like, I didn't even know there were people who were thinking like me. Um, so I just started reading the Bible, and I was just it was just like it suddenly clicked everything, because like I've been keeping the Sabbath. It's so funny when something clicks that if I'm keeping the Sabbath, why am I not keeping these things too? And then I started seeing the parallels of the feasts and when they were happening and stuff, and it was just mind blowing, right? I was like in shock that I had been doing the Sabbath for so long and not even looked at these things. And so yeah, it was mostly just reading the Bible and the calendar that woke me up, kind of thing. And so I made the calendar, and then after that I made myself a social media account, and that was 2023 that I started, like, nobody really knew who Eva Silva was until 2023. I just started sharing what I had found, and yeah, pretty much from there. Like I had like a year, I think, to start putting everything together, and then that's when I started sharing what I was writing. Couldn't stop writing.
I'm actually shocked. Like when I do these testimonies with people, I purposely don't learn a lot about them so that I can
Yeah.
be shocked, but I'm above and beyond shocked with everything you just told. Your entire
Uh,
story is mind-blowing and so beautiful, and I'm in actual awe of how he's had his hand on you the entire time.
oh, God has been so good. Like I can't even describe the way my faith is now after just learning a little bit about the faith. I have never been, like, we all go through stages of feeling tired and, like, that we're not doing enough, but I can never say that my faith has ever been so strong after learning about the feast. I don't even, like, it just it unlocked something. It's incredible just knowing God cares, and that He set these times, and that He has these things, that Jesus isn't just a new belief. He's been there since the very beginning. And yeah, it just and then you feel an identity, right? Because you can relate. You're allowed to relate to Israel. Growing up, it was like Israel was its own special thing. You're not part of Israel. You're separate from them. And having that realization, no, I don't have to be ashamed. I can be an Israelite. I am an Israelite, and all of the promises He makes is for me too. It's just a incredible, incredible feeling, right?
Amen. You know, the upbringing you had, the way you describe it, there was a chance that you would have left the faith entirely, to grow up
Oh
in
yes,
legalism. And like, of course, outsiders look at people like you and I as though we're legalists, right? And you're just looking like, what? Like what? So you're actual proof of the difference between legalism and choosing to follow Torah,
yeah,
choosing to follow the word of God,
yeah.
not man-made.
It's actually been kind of hard for me, because I think, like, I'm not calling my family a cult, but they were part of a cult, and the cult ideas, they were inside me from a very young age, so that's really hard to break free of. Once I broke free of those ideas, you can either go to the other extreme where you just totally reject anything uh, good, um, or you can try to find the balance, which is what I'm trying to do. But at the same time, I think people who have been in a cult are more vulnerable to either start a cult or join another cult. And that's something when I was studying the Sabbath, and that's probably maybe why I was reticent about the feasts and things, is because I was like, oh, I don't want to, just jump from cult hopscotch, like
Yeah, so
I'm,
he let you move slowly, in a way that you
yeah.
could be comfortable and ease into it.
And
And
that's where I feel protection too from God, is that I didn't go and have all these people teachings and things. It was just the Bible in the beginning.
it's hard. It's a crazy world. Like I've been on this path now very much. So sitting in this backyard is very nostalgic for me because it's just here 1 year ago that I started talking to Jesse, who I've been married to for, I don't know, we got married in January. We only met last July online.
Yeah.
So I was already kind of knew what was going on, but not quite. So it's really only been 1 or 2 years for me, but in that time, like, if I hadn't met him a year ago, I could have gone down so many horrible rabbit holes because it's just a buffet of
It
whatever you
is.
put in front of
I
you.
call it no man's land. It's like when you step out of the trenches of what you're familiar with, it's just mayhem out there. Like, and then there's I think a lot of people who throw out the baby with the bathwater. There's that they lose the accountability that the church has, because I think that is good. There's a lot of accountability in the church, in good churches. So you step out of that, and people just say, "Oh, I'm following Torah," and they follow it their own way, and it's
And then it's
scary how.
anarchy. Then it's like, and then that's when we see there's no fruit of the spirit. There's just
Mhm.
head knowledge and law, law,
Yeah,
law. No
exactly,
grace, just law. Let's throw the grace
exactly. Yeah.
in. Well,
What do I have next year? Yeah, so I think what I just with my testimony, I think it's for people who are trying to like most there's a lot of young people, but also I'd say for parents too is there's a lot of when you're raised religiously, there's a lot of control, and I would just like to encourage people to understand what that control can do. Like it's when you're isolating yourself like that, the isolation is for control, right? Because you can't control people who are getting lots of perspectives from other people. So I would say there's not like to avoid isolation, because it's all about control and giving up. Like if we want to, if like I have to watch myself about isolation is like a sign of me wanting to give up. It's too hard, there's like having relationships and stuff. It's very hard. So it's a selfishness. And then yes, like I think a lot of parents hang on to their kids. Like it's so important to protect our kids when they're young, but I think a lot of parents will hang on to them as they become adults, and it is so it's like stealing the life of a kid, like you're holding them back from stealing from God and stealing from them, because you're holding them back from serving, you're holding them back from having a life. And I just wish a lot of parents would see that, or would understand how much damage it can do. Like there's like this really, I don't know if you know, there's like this little film. I think it's Ukrainian. It's a short film called The Cord. It's by Marcus. Anyway,
it's not like a red string.
it's like an little illustrated movie, and there's a cord that's attached to the mom and the son.
Yeah, threads.
Yeah, like a thread.
Threads?
I don't know.
I
It's
have
called
the book. I have the book, and I think that they
okay,
made the book into an animated film, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, 2 people could have had the same idea,
probably.
but I'm thinking of
This one's just like 5 minutes, I think, but it was really good because I felt that's exactly what a lot of parents are doing and that cord, I had that cord too, and it has to be cut. Like there's a time when the parent is part of their child's life, but then there has to be a severing of that
I think we're
connection.
thinking of the same thing 'cause I mean, it's very hard as a parent to watch it. I think I watched that film and received that book. Um, okay,
I
we're gonna
didn't know
have
there
to
was a book. That's so interesting.
it might be 2 separate things, but I actually, like, through the Montreal jazz scene, there's some connection of a Montreal jazz musician who's coming to me, Kevin, something, he's a trumpet player, and I think it's his wife. Anyway, maybe we're thinking of 2 different projects, but it's the same idea, and for me, it was
Same
like, "Oh,
idea.
you know it's true, you
Oh,
know you have."
painful. No, it's so painful. Like, I don't know as a parent, and I can only imagine, but I know the pain I experienced when I was trying to get free of that. And I think the biggest thing is just I don't know what parents feel, but I know for myself the horrendous guilt I felt because of causing my mom to suffer. And I just, ugh, terrible, terrible. I got sick. I almost like, I felt like I was dying because of that guilt. And I just wanted to, I was just hoping that, like, if anyone hears my testimony, that, you know, that guilt is not because we're breaking God's law or anything. We're not dishonoring our parents to want to be free and to have our own life. And, yeah, it's good for us to be, you know, independent and find our own way. So I just want to say about my mom, like she and I were like extremely close, and I still love her very deeply, and I used to be really angry about her, towards her, but not anymore, of course. Like, I understand no parent is perfect, and I feel a lot of mercy for her. I think what happened with um, her is she worried about the outside world too much, and her appearance to the outside world. Um, she didn't want to have, uh, yeah, she wanted to have a perfect family. So when you're afraid, you isolate, like you cut everything off that could be a threat. And um, if you try to step outside that isolation, it's rebellion. But it's like a lot of kids are called rebellious because of this isolation thing. So I think there's needs to somehow be a balance of helping kids understand it's not rebellious to want to be independent.
Gosh, there's so much for me to think of. My kids, their dad is, I mean, not on this path at all, so they don't really run that risk of what you're talking about. They actually stand with one foot in each world, you know what I mean? But I,
Yeah,
as a mom coming to this path, I want them, no, 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 you know, like, so, I mean, there's not a risk, but there's a lot for me to think of as kind of
yeah, and
back of my
well, I
mind.
don't. Sorry, my goodness, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting.
Nope.
I don't think protection is like, I think protection is so important, right? I don't know what it's like to be a mom, but like the balance must be incredibly hard of like when they're young, they need that protection. But then at what point do you start letting go of the protection and letting them make mistakes and letting them find it the hard way, you know? So I can't even imagine how it is.
Eva, thank you so much. What a blessing. I will put this up in a couple of weeks and people are going to have their hearts exploded just as mine is. Thank you. Thank you so, so much for the time.
Good. I'm sorry. I'm like really all over the place.
No,
I, like
you
I can
weren't.
write, you know, I can write all
No,
my
you were
thoughts out, but when I'm trying to speak it, it's like
no, you were on. You were more on than a lot of people that I've spoke. Don't worry. You did great. That was very
okay.
clear and your note taking is a good idea and it's something I'm going to suggest to people in the future because it's
Okay.
yeah, you did a great job. I'm
Oh, good. Thank you so much. It was awesome doing it with you.
thank you. We'll talk to you super soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.